I'm Joe Reed, and this is Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. Kendra Winchester is with me. She's a contributor to AudioFile. Okay, you brought one year to a close. Open up the new one.
Well, I think this is a perfect audiobook to start off the new year, and that is The Restaurant of Lost Recipes by Hisashi Kashiwai, translated from Japanese by Jesse Kirkwood, and this is performed by Hanako Footman. And do you know of the tradition of starting out your new year? It's like a almost like a superstition with audiobook listeners. Whatever book you choose first like sets the tone for the rest of the year.
No, I did not, but this is good. I like this.
Well, I love this tradition and I spend a lot of time, probably too much time, thinking about what to choose. And I think this would be a perfect pick because it is part of a genre that I just started learning about called healing literature in Japanese literature.
Yeah,
I love it. So it is basically the whole setup is that this father and daughter duo, they are the Kamogawa Food Detectives. And so their clients come to them and say, "Oh, I had ramen, this very specific ramen that my mom used to make me and or I had this fried rice, but it was pink and I really want to eat it again, but I have no idea where my mom got the recipe from." And so they kind of chase down the exact ingredients, how it was made, and it's like a little cozy mystery, and each chapter is a new client. They're like little short stories almost. Oh, it's so perfect. There's so much
and we
food.
talked about this. We
Yes.
talked about the Kamogawa Food Detectives, also narrated by Hanako.
Yes. Yes. I loved it so much. I was like, I need the second one. Apparently there's a
Oh,
third
good.
one.
I mean, and you described it so wonderfully. I actually went out and started listening to it and completely fell in love with it.
It's so delightful and so
Yeah,
meaningful. And one of the things I love is that people are processing their emotions, often their grief, through the food that they're eating.
absolutely.
For example, there is a couple who run a Japanese pastry shop, but their son really loved this Western Christmas cake, which is like a white cake with strawberries. And so they have a discussion of cuisine and Eastern versus Western cuisine, their experience with it, what it means emotionally to them to have these traditional, pastries, but their son really loved this Western recipe. And I really love how it delves into food and culture in such a deep way.
Yeah, and food in memory. I think,
Hmm.
I can have a bite of something and suddenly I'm transported and I'm 4 years old again.
Hmm.
And I think at least the first book, I'm assuming the second book is quite similar, really understands that and touches on that throughout those stories.
Yes, and I don't think this is one you have to read in order. Each chapter starts anew, as it were, and you have a new client, and you could read the chapters in almost any order you wanted to, and it would all, it's all kind of all tied up in that one chapter. And so that's something I really enjoyed about it because I could listen to this, in the car, listen to one story, be done, and then pick it up later and, start with the news story. So it was just really a delightful listen, and I think it would be a great way to start out the new
I
year.
think you're right, so let's listen to a little right now.
So this is from one of the stories where this athlete finds the restaurant for the first time.
This is The Restaurant of Lost Recipes by Hisashi Kashiwai. It's translated by Jesse Kirkwood, who also translated the first book, and read by Hanako Footman, who also narrated the first book.
Counting the streets on his fingers, he followed the man's directions until he arrived at his destination. A two-story building with a slightly drab mortar exterior and no sign advertising its presence. It was all just as he'd been told. Kyosuke put a hand to his chest, took 3 deep breaths, then slid the door open. "Hello?" he called into the interior. "Ah!" said Nagare Kamogawa, looking up from the counter he was scrubbing. "Come on in." Kyosuke was somewhat taken aback by this welcoming tone, given the building's off-putting exterior. "I'm here to request your food detective services," he stammered. "You can relax, I don't bite. Go on, take a seat." Nagare gestured towards one of the red folding chairs at a nearby table. "Thank you." Kyosuke breathed a sigh of relief, though there was still something vaguely robotic about the way he seated himself on the chair. You hungry? Asked Nagare. How about some grub?
What a wonderful description of that building and finding that restaurant, and so beautifully narrated.
Yes. Hanako Footman performs audiobooks so well, and I didn't know, but she has her own book that came out this past year, I think.
I cannot wait to begin listening to this, and I think it is a perfect way to begin the new year.
Yes, definitely.
And that is The Restaurant of Lost Recipes by Hisashi Kashiwai, translated by Jesse Kirkwood and read by Hanako Footman. Thank you so much, Kendra. This is truly a perfect recommendation.
Of course, still, I'd always happy to talk audiobooks.
I'm Joe Reed. You're listening to Behind the Mic,